Okay, so this path is becoming very popular, which is which is highly understandable. It's a very beautiful first day of June. The sun is out, and there's just a light breeze. It's wonderful for walking around the park by the water. But anyways, one of the other things I want to talk about and to share with you is so this one's very personal for me. So this actually is another driving force for the purpose of this work or work such as this. Is I remember it wasn't just the last place I worked. It's been multiple places, but especially so in the last place I worked, there were certain personalities that I worked with or worked alongside that were very doing some very cruel things behind closed doors. And they would use their position and their title. So if you had young women that were highly impressionable that came in on contract, these men would use their position or their title to basically, put pressure and obviously the influence they had with other people, but to put pressure on different girls to go on dates. And then they would unfortunately share certain intimate details with people behind closed doors. A very unprofessional atmosphere. But they'd also, if you were a co-op student and nobody really knew you, they would abuse the co-op students, and they would have them do the work they didn't want to do, and they'd make fun of them behind their backs and make fun of them to their face. And it's a lot of very, very extreme issues of abuse is just one of the major labels or the main labels I'd use, but harassment, etc., etc. But I noted at our work, these individuals, whenever the boss is around, they seemed quite wonderful. And I remember thinking, oh, I guess I've never looked at it this way. I would always get angry because I just assumed that the bosses would see them the way they are, and the bosses would know how they're acting behind closed doors. And then it occurred to me, I was like, oh, they actually don't. They don't know. And it was like, oh, okay, that's why these things continue on. Because for me, it seems rather obvious, the side effects or the after effects of these actions and these behaviors, they're going to produce an atmosphere of toxicity, and also one where there's constant power struggles and where there's domination occurring. But then I noted that HR would hold these, they'd bring in like third-party consultants, and they'd hold like little training courses to talk about proper workplace etiquette, all these different things, how to handle difficult situations, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember thinking, if they only knew that the root was occurring inside of select hearts, and when these personalities got together, it would grow, and what would happen is eventually something would spill over. Eventually a mess would be made. And then unfortunately the routine or the standard that was there would be, okay, let's just bring these people in, we'll have these talks, and we'll bring everybody involved or make everybody involved in this, when there's only a few people that were actually doing these things. But majority of people would simply, if they seen it, they would just, because they didn't want confrontation, they would just relocate to another division or another department, and a lot of these things would just remain hush-hush. And I was thinking it would be really good to have these things exposed so we can learn. As there's many people, I remember one gentleman, he did a no-call, no-show for 3 weeks, and everybody made fun of him. But I was thinking, but these people make fun of him behind his back, so I can only imagine how terrible it was for him when he was working here. So if that's taking place, there's deeper things that are not being exposed. And because they're not being exposed, it's almost like people are looking to correct these issues from a more surfacey level, when it's a deep cleanse or a flushing out of the things occurring in the hearts has to be exposed in order for us to clearly see what is at the root of these problems.